Okay, I think we are live on Facebook. A couple minutes late. We're always getting technical things underway. So I'm going to give everybody a minute to find us. I did get a lot of interest today in this forum on the ABCs of absentee ballots. And we are bringing back some of our superheroes from the 2020 election and others tonight in a preview of things to come. And I really do, I see this conversation tonight as part one of probably several conversations about just the process of voting and how to make sure that your vote is counted in this election. And I just want to make sure everybody has access to good information. So if you are following along on Facebook, you can post a question in the on Facebook, and I will make sure that we get to those at some point. So follow us along. So I want to, we have with us two really experienced and great clerks who have been great educators for me in this process, Darlene Brady from Kent and Linda Amerighi from Sharon. And before we get started, I just want to actually commend all of the town clerks in the 64th district. We really do have a tremendous group of public servants and professionals who work really hard to make sure that elections are, and everything else that a town clerk takes care of, and there are many, are fair, and that everybody gets access, and they really pay attention to detail, and they worry about when, people don't have the right information. And so I myself constantly learn from them and have learned a lot from them, particularly all the changes in the 2020 election. So, and they're really dedicated, as is evident from the fact that two of them have decided to spend their Monday evenings doing this video with me. So Darlene and Linda, thank you very much for doing this tonight.
Thank you.
So just sort of set the table for this, I said this would be, I think, a part one of some conversations. Tonight, what I really want to talk about is the process of applying for, who's eligible for absentee ballots, and it has changed a little bit this year, and how you apply for getting an absentee ballot. Later on, the ballots themselves won't be available till later, and we'll get to that. But I really want to focus on this part of the process that's happening right now. So Darlene, I'll start with you. Who is in Connecticut? I know, we do not have no excuse absentee ballots. You have to have a specific reason in order to be eligible to vote absentee in Connecticut. And I wondered if you could just take us through what the eligibility requirements are, and how they've changed this year.
So naturally, all registered voters are eligible to request and receive an absentee ballot. This year, they kind of enlarged the group of those who can qualify for sake of increasing the reasons that you can request an absentee ballot. Two of the reasons have opened up. They've added sickness. Instead of it being, you don't have to define what that sickness is. And this is kind of a response to the COVID-19, and when we were issuing absentee ballots due to that specific sickness or illness or pandemic. But they've looked at that and decided that that was a real reason for individuals to be able to request an absentee ballot. The other is that they've increased the time frame as far as which you can apply for an absentee ballot, where it used to say that you needed to be out the whole day of the voting session, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Now it's just if you're absent from town of residence. It's not defining the time that you are absent. So that's increased the access to the absentee ballot for individuals who just are not sure how long they're going to be out of town for that day, the day before, the day after, and when they need to travel.
That's really helpful. I'm hoping, I know that comes from legislation that we passed this year, and in an attempt to just clarify. There's a lot of, there was a lot of ambiguity about how that applied and what that meant. So, and we will, I a little bit later will share the a screen of the application so we can go through that. But first, before we do that, I just want to sort of touch on the basics of the process. And how, Linda, how do you get an absentee ballot? What do you have to do to get an absentee ballot?
Well, there are ways other than the ED3, which is the application from the absentee ballot for an absentee ballot. The application is being sent out by some campaigns this year. So many people will be receiving an application in the mail. There is an application on the Secretary of the State's website. The link is on my website, as it is pretty much all the town clerks. You can link that link and download the application. The application is then sent into the town clerk of the town of residence. And you can start doing that now. There is no reason to wait to send the application in if you have one of those excuses. We're getting them now. We are getting ready to process the ballots to get them out quite fast when they become available. There are other types of applications, but I think the basic application right now is for those that are here in the States, in Connecticut, that need to request an application for an absentee ballot.
So essentially you can do it either online, or you can go into your town clerk's office and get it there. And you can do that. You could do it right now, and you can do it. How late can you do it? How long do people have to decide?
You can get an application the day before the election if you are not going to be in town on the next day.
Great. And what if you apply and then you change your mind, or you realize that you're going to be here? Can you change your mind and vote in person?
Yeah, you can vote in person. If you have submitted a ballot and the town clerk does have that ballot, you can come into the town clerk's office and she can void that ballot, and you will have to go to the polls and vote. If you come in the day of election, there is a whole different process that needs to be followed with the town clerk, and it has to be done before 10 a.m.
Okay, so at least in this, it's not binding in any way. You can still decide to vote in person if you're okay. And then I think talking about this before, I forgot which one of you mentioned it, but that there are so you know, to get it yourself, you go online or you go to your town clerk essentially. But some campaigns this year, I have learned, not mine, that are planning to mail out absentee ballots. People may receive them in the mail. So Darlene, if somebody receives multiple applications in the mail to vote by absentee, what should they do? How should they handle that?
Naturally, we would like for them to just fill out one of those applications and submit it to their town of residency. And that will be sufficient for them to be getting their ballot sent out appropriately. If in the event, for some reason, because you've gotten multiple mailings and you're just concerned, whoops, did I do it? Or maybe I should fill in the second one for whatever reason. If you happen to send in a second or third, depending on how many you've received, that's not going to affect the process. We're going to issue you one absentee ballot. The way the process works internally is that we enter all of those serial numbers and date issued, date received into the state system, along with which is specific to your name. So if we didn't identify that Darlene Brady had already applied for one, if we attempted to go issue you another one, the system would block me and stop me from doing so, which means that the registered voter would not receive that absentee ballot. Naturally, we're fortunate. We're a small town, so we recognize a lot of the names But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't have those protocols in place so that the system helps support that individuals should be getting one absentee for one application.
Thanks. That's helpful to know. So in the event that you get multiple, please spare your town clerks who have plenty to do and just submit one. But do not be concerned if you inadvertently send multiple because you couldn't remember whether you submitted the other one. That's okay. The system will catch it and you will only get one ballot. So good to know that. So if you do apply online to get an absentee ballot, obviously the submission is straightforward. You can just submit it online. But if you have if you decide to fill it out, on paper, what should you do with that ballot? I'll switch back to Linda.
The application?
Yes.
Okay,
Sorry. Yes. Thank you. You know what? I can't say often enough the distinction between the application and the ballot. They are two very different things. This conversation is about applications, not the ballot. So thank you, Linda.
It's okay. The application can be mailed to the town that you are a resident in, to the town clerk's office. You can also drop it off at any town hall that has an opened ballot box or a drop box. You can personally deliver it to the town clerk themselves. And if you have any questions, by all means, please go to your town clerk. The town clerk will help you or explain to you how the application can or needs to be filled out. Call them. They will tell you where to drop it off. They will tell you how to get an application to somebody that needs one, a student that's going to college. That's very important this year. We have a lot of, college people that need to vote. They need to get an application. Parents can give them an application. They can get their own application, but they're busy in school. So I totally understand parents helping in that way. Call your town clerks. A lot of town clerks do have the ballot box available to drop off the applications, but some town clerks have opted to keep that box locked and keep it for ballots only. So again, contact your town clerk. We're great. We try to answer every possible question we can, and that's what we're here for. So any questions, call your local town clerk.
I confirm you are great. Yes. And just to sort of in the event, so it's good to know that some towns may use, for convenience for voters, may use the ballot box for the application. Others will not. So make sure you do talk to your town and figure that out. You will probably be able to tell because that box will be locked and closed or open and available. And in the event that it is open and available for use for applications, there are protocols in place for checking that box. Is that right, Linda?
Yes, the boxes are checked every day,
right.
For applications and for ballots. See, one thing I do want to say, if you get an application and you fill it out, and you're a Sharon resident and you happen to be in Salisbury, please don't put it in the Salisbury Town Hall box. They're not going to send it to me. They'll probably send it back to you. Please put it in my box because I want to make sure you get your ballot.
Good to know. And we will say that again when we get to ballots. Please take them to your own town. Great. Okay. So the application process is ongoing. And Darlene, when do ballots become available?
They become 31 days before the election, which all ballots that we have applications in file for will start going out as of October 7th. So those mailings will start then. Naturally, as of October 7th, individuals can come into town hall and the ballots will be available to issue in person too. So if you recognize that you have a time sensitive window, as you've already said, get your application in early. Look at your schedule and naturally know that as of October 7th on, absentee ballots can be available.
Okay, so I'm now going to try to share my screen here with a shot of what the application looks like, just so we can go through some of the questions here. And can you guys confirm that you can see this?
Yes.
Okay. So the first thing I wanted to cover here is, so there are two places to enter an address, section 1 and section 2. So Linda, you want to cover what the difference is between the two addresses in those two sections?
Yes. Section 1 is the applicant's information, and that information is what appears on the voter registry list. Mailing addresses in section 2, delivery of the absentee ballot, is very important. If you are in town hall and we have the ballots available, you would be checking, given to me personally, because at that point we can actually hand you the ballot. If you are applying for a ballot before we have them, or do not wish to come into town hall, if you have a different mailing address, you need to indicate the address to where you want the ballot sent. I have many that are not even living in Connecticut at the time they're asking this, and I have sent them directly to their location. So it is very important that the application indicates where the ballot is to be mailed.
Thank you.
Then underneath section 3, the purpose of the application, this is for an election. And so you would check election and you would put the date of the election.
Great, thank you. And thank you, Linda, for getting to that section. So people may have heard there is a ballot question that will be on your ballot in November, in addition to the usual array of candidates. But that is not what that is. This is an election, not a referendum. This is it's a ballot question, which has to do with early voting. And you will receive with your ballot, an explainer will be sent to everybody, including information about that ballot question. So I imagine we will cover that in more detail later, just so that people understand what it's about. But this is important. I'm glad you pointed out this is an election, not a referendum. And then I just wanted to go to the next page here, which you will see has the section 4 has the various excuses that Darlene described for us earlier, including the 2 that have changed a little bit this year, the absence from my town and sickness. Okay, anything else that you 2 want to point out about the application itself? Or everybody can reach out to you if they have questions. So I'm going to stop sharing here. And okay, so if you do apply for a ballot, I think Darlene or one of you covered the fact that the ballots are available on October 7th and will start to be mailed out on that day. Can you, at what point in the system can a voter check to see whether they're going to receive that you've gotten the application and that they're going to get a ballot? Forget who's next. Who's next?
Okay. So the applications are not, we keep a separate list, but it's not something that the individual has access to on the online system. They can call the offices anytime to verify their application has been received. But as far as the ballot being issued, there is an online portal through the Secretary of State that any individual can verify that their ballot has been issued. Then, and I know we're going to talk about ballots at some other time, but another great concept of that system is that they can verify that it's also been received by the town clerk. So they can watch the process along the way. Again, ballot sent, ballot received. They can verify that information.
Thanks. And I don't mean to be mysterious about the ballot, but I thought it might be a little clearer for everyone if we talked about the ballot once we actually had the ballot, which we don't yet. So when we do, again, you know, when the ballots start to be absentee ballots start to be sent out on October 7th, there will be an explainer, particularly for that ballot question in there, that will have more information. So I thought one other quick question that I wanted to just close with is, what if somebody doesn't know whether they're registered to vote? Linda?
Again, there is an online system at the Secretary of the State's office. They can go there and inquire whether they are a registered voter or not. If they discover that they are not a registered voter, please contact your town clerk, your register of voters. You can also do it at the motor vehicle department. But I think right now, the quickest, the best, and the easiest, fastest way is to come see your town clerk, fill out the voter registration card in their office. We will give it to the register of voters to get you registered, and you will receive a confirmation in the mail. And you should bring that confirmation to the polls when you do come to vote, though.
Great, thanks. So keeping it just focused on the application this time. Again, if you wish to vote by absentee ballot, remember, everybody can vote in person, and this is in no way an encouragement to vote by absentee if that's not appropriate for you for whatever reason. So, so I look forward to more conversations about this, and I want to thank both of you again for joining us and sharing your experience on this and so many other topics. And if there's one takeaway that anyone listening takes from this, it's when in doubt, call your town clerk, because they're a wealth of information and they really know how to get things done. And they're very focused on making sure that people get what they need and get good information to make this process work. So thank you both. Have a great Monday evening.
Thank you.
And I'll see you both soon.
You will. Thank you. Bye-bye.